Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You, of course, can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to Mick. Happy 49th birthday to Mick. Happy birthday to me. Yes, I'm 49 today. No point being depressed about it because there's nothing I can do about it. Proud to be 49. Happy that I'm in the peak of my powers. And welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily, where we have got some more Doctor Who Flux updates for you. So let's go. So we already know that episode 1 of Doctor Who Flux will be called The Halloween Apocalypse. Episode 2 title has been revealed. Chapter 2, War of the Sontarans, ready to reunite with an old enemy. Chapter 2 of Doctor Who Flux, War of the Sontarans, premieres on November the 7th. But I've got a bit more for you there because we're talking to Mandip Gill, where the BBC interviewed her. So let's see what Mandip has got to say. If it can load up, it will. Mandip Gill spills the beans on the upcoming series. Mandip Gill plays the Doctor's friend Yasmin Khan, reveals more of what we can expect in Doctor Who Flux, premiering October the 31st. Read the full interview below. Doctor Who Flux premieres on October the 31st. Find out where to watch here. Well, I'm in Cyprus and the only way I can watch it is a day later if I buy the series on Prime Video, which of course I will. So I will be reviewing all these episodes and responding to them genuinely and honestly and telling you how I feel about them. It's not about how you feel about them, it's about how I feel about them. And then obviously you're welcome to disagree and we can get into it, right? But obviously I've got to be honest about how I feel about these things. So a day later, a couple of days later, we will review these episodes on the Doctor Who Daily. Anyway, Jodie Whittaker, Mandip Gill, John Bishop and Jacob Anderson start in an epic 6-part adventure which will take the Doctor and her friends to the edge of the universe and beyond in a battle for survival. Packed with action, humour, terrifying new villains and iconic returning monsters such as the Sontarans and the Weeping Angels, the new series of Doctor Who tells one story across a vast canvas. It features a host of acclaimed British acting talent including Roshenda Sandor, Annabelle Scully, Craig Parkinson, Kevin McAnally, Sam Sproul, Robert Bathurst, Steve Oram and Fedea Gray. From Liverpool to the depths of space via the Crimean War, a planet named Atropos which shouldn't even exist. Interesting. Fighting old foes and new creatures from beyond our dimension, the Doctor and company face a race against and through time to uncover a universe-spanning mystery. What is the Flux? Can you tell us a bit about the journey Yaz goes on this series and the challenges she faces? Before we read this out, we were treated to a little scene with John Bishop as his character Dan. Nothing much really happens. Trick-or-treaters knock on his door. He's happy, he smells, he gives them a treat, he goes. Then some guy drinking beer tries it on. Dan has a go at him. He shuts the door. And I think that's pretty much it, unless I missed something. But I think that's pretty much what happens in the scenes. But so basically this scene has more personality than the past 2 seasons of Chibnall Doctor Who, and John Bishop looks like he's going to bring some much needed personality to the show. Yaz continues to go from strength to strength in terms of independence in space. During the series she can be seen to be taking charge in adventures without the Doctor, but naturally at times it's out of her depth and asks herself what would the Doctor do. I very much enjoy these struggles as it naturally shows that no matter how many adventures she goes on, she will always need the Doctor. Well, obviously. Can you talk to us a bit about how it was filming one serialised story this time around and how that changed things for you? Filming one serialised story for me personally has been great. I did love the standalone episodes, but this way feels like I have longer to explore relationships with other characters, such as Vinda played by Jacob Anderson and Jericho played by Kevin McAnally. Both characters are seen in several episodes, and so Yaz is able to develop a much deeper relationship with them that doesn't end at the end of an episode. On a personal level, I have really enjoyed having such amazing guest leads around for a longer period of time and sharing this experience with them. How was it introducing John Bishop into the Doctor Who family, and what kind of relationship does Dan form with Yaz? John was so brilliant from the beginning. He was eager and excited, and I loved that about him because I am still so excited by costumes and sets and the amazing crew in Cardiff myself. Yaz and Dan have a really wholesome relationship. They have quickly managed to find a place in which they can tease one another confidently. They really create a special bond on some of the adventures. They are able to get to know one another and can connect on a human level. Can you tell us a bit about working with Jacob Anderson? Meeting and working with Jacob Anderson has been one of the highlights of the series for me. He's incredibly talented and such a joy to get to know. We hear monsters and prosthetics will be another level this year. What can you tell us? Did you feel spooked by any? You have heard correctly. The monsters and prosthetics are on another level this year. I was so intrigued by the detail and what's that say? Intricacy. I can't read. Sorry. Let's start again. So we won't read that word. Intrigued by the detail. And some of the prosthetics we have Carvanista, an alien dog, and as much as I am scared of dogs in real life, he was so fascinating to look at. Craig Ells playing Carvanista is over 6 foot tall. Imagine that. Now that's interesting because he does look like Chewbacca a bit, doesn't he? And the guy who played Chewbacca, who unfortunately passed away recently, was around the same height as well. But he does look like Chewbacca, and maybe that's a mistake. That's my personal opinion. Did you do any exciting stunts this series? We have a really exciting stunt scene over an acid ocean. Jodie and I spent the day on wires, been hung upside down, spun around and winched up like small animals. Yaz also has a quick sword fight. It was a short rehearsal before the shoot, but I really enjoyed it and I'm excited to see how it looks. There are some amazing guest actors this series. Who have you enjoyed working with? I've enjoyed working with all of the guest leads this year. It has been an absolute honour to work during COVID and to be able to meet new people. I have previously worked with Rashenda Sandel, so it was a delight to see her again. Kevin McAnally is one of the most talented actors I've had the pleasure of working with. He unknowingly taught me so much on and off the screen. John Bishop and I joked about going to the McAnally School of Acting. It was really refreshing to see how much he enjoys being on set. What has been the highlights of your third series? The highlight of the series for me was genuinely being able to work during COVID with the same crew as the previous series in Cardiff. They are the kindest, most funny and genuine cast and crew I've ever met. How would you describe Series 13 in 3 words? And why should people tune in to this series? An emotional roller coaster. Tune into this series to see an emotional roller coaster heavily sprinkled with old and new enemies. Doctor Who Flux premieres on October the 31st, so not as interesting or as long or as vast as the Jodie Whittaker interview, but still there's some interesting things there. And if you're a Yaz Khan fan, that would have been great. I haven't really got into Yaz. I do like Mandip. I think she's great quality. I loved her in Hollyoaks, by the way. So let's see how the final tale of Yaz Khan ends up. Maybe she's really the timeless child. What went wrong with Christopher let me say that again, I was going to get his surname wrong. What went wrong with Christopher Eccleston's era of Doctor Who? Well, nothing went wrong in front of the camera. The issues were behind the camera. So Christopher Eccleston joined Doctor Who because he'd had a good working relationship with Russell T Davies, and it captured his imagination that someone like Russell T Davies, who was an intellectual, and Russell is an intellectual, who had wrote many political dramas, but Chris always said that Russell is not overtly political, but he is political in his writing and making very interesting political dramas. And once upon a time, political dramas weren't about identity politics, and they were very interesting things, and Russell has done a lot of that. So this is why he thought it was fascinating that someone like Russell was going to be writing for kids. He'd done a lot of serious dramas, and Chris wanted to change the direction of his career. So he rang Russell up and said, can I audition? He auditioned. He said that he and Billie Piper had great chemistry. He loves Billie Piper, he said. He was talking about this at a convention in May 2021 when he was talking about doing Big Finish. And I think he was very, very open and honest. He was asked, why did you leave Doctor Who? And he said the relationship broke down between he, Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson. This is something I've told you guys and everyone already so many times. So what happened and why did the relationship break down? Well, if you've been following the Ruby Rose story and what happened on Batwoman with her, you'll understand what happened here. Because Christopher Eccleston was in a similar position to Ruby, where he'd work on multiple movie sets and, hardcore TV sets. So he knew the industry. He claims he was more experienced than anyone else working as a director, or he knew his stuff kind of thing. And he said what was going on the set behind the scenes was disgusting. He went to the BBC and they said, well, listen, we didn't know about this. And he said, well, isn't it your job to know about this? So he fought them. Ultimately, nothing was done and he left and he was blacklisted from the BBC to keep him quiet. Ultimately, he became unblacklisted by the BBC. I don't know what happened. And then he's told his story multiple times. How has Russell T Davies reacted to this? Russell T Davies has said he doesn't want to play he said with Christopher Eccleston. Well, there's a reason for that, Russell, because he's telling the truth. What happened with Doctor Who Series 1, and I think we've discussed it somewhat here already. What happened was Russell T Davies and the BBC and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson bit off more than they could chew. None of them knew how to make an epic sci-fi drama with special effects and motion picture quality production. But that's what they wanted to do. Now, when you view season 1, it looks perfect. It's amazing for 2005. It's brilliant. But as usual with the industry, they don't care what it all looks behind the scenes and how they treat people, because everyone who works for them, the grunts, the employees, the actors, are just a means to the end, while they smile in the front of the camera on Doctor Who Confidential saying what a fun experience it was. These are the biggest villains in any industry, and they lecture us about kindness and compassion and call us man babies and call us part of toxic masculinity and that we're alpha males and we're bad people. This is the issue with these bullshitters. Christopher Eccleston was absolutely right. I know this for a fact, and credit to him for speaking out. He wanted his cast and crew to be safe and work in a safe, happy, positive environment. But that wasn't allowed to happen. And Christopher Eccleston spoke out, and because of that, his career got cut at the throat. But ultimately, Christopher Eccleston also went through a lot of depression and other things. Now when you look at him, he looks amazing. He looks happy within himself. I hope that's the case. And he looks ripped. He looks like he's been working out as well. He looks amazing. He really does. And I'm grateful that he's come back. But Christopher Eccleston had to be kind of, Doctor Who fans didn't treat him very well after he left and said, Chris would refuse to go to the conventions, the Doctor Who conventions and stuff, and nobody knew why. Well, now we know why. He's still refusing to return to the live action show for the 60th anniversary, and rightfully so, after how they treated him. And I've spoken about this many, many times. The only way around this is for Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner, just to apologise to the man. Have a meeting with him, apologise. He needs to be in the 60th anniversary because he deserved more than one season. I was thinking about this while I was watching this kind of video of this convention Chris was on and answering Doctor Who questions. If there weren't these issues, he probably would have remained in the entirety of the Russell T Davies Doctor Who era. He probably would have stayed for the whole 5 years, would have been sensational. We sadly wouldn't have got any David Tennant, but still, we loved Chris anyway. That's something we wouldn't have needed to worry about. And it's so sad because there were so many more places for this version of the Doctor to go. And imagine a Doctor staying there for around 5 years in the revival era, because nobody has. Chris did 1 year, David did 3 years, Matt did 3 years. Everyone's doing 3 years. But Chris probably would have done 5 years if nothing went wrong behind the scenes. So just seeing what Chris went through and seeing him speak at this kind of fan convention and him genuinely answering proper questions. I don't think he's been toxic about Russell, Julie or Phil. I think he's been direct and I think he's been honest. And the more and more claims we hear about this toxic environment behind the scenes, while people that I look up to, by the way, like Russell T Davies, are sitting there talking about kindness, representation, inclusion and compassion when they don't mean a word of it. And this is the problem. It's very hard for us, the consumer, to understand how an industry can not only hate the people that work for them and treat them like shit, they actually hate their own consumers as well. The entertainment industry is a cancer full of hatred. It's not a place full of representation and inclusion, genuine representation and inclusion. It's a place of toxicity. It always has been, and it's never going to change because they don't feel they have to change. Let's go to the situation in America with Alec Baldwin and that poor young woman getting shot, that poor DP being shot. They keep on making excuses. People who want to ban live ammo and real guns on the set, one director said, another director that I did respect. What about the cranes? What about the fires? What about the water? That's all dangerous. Let me say this. That just proves what kind of bastards these people are. There's a difference between a fucking crane that can fall on you. You'll accept that, right? As an accident. But a real gun with live ammo, that's something completely different. Meanwhile, these same overtly political people will keep on talking about gun control. America does have a problem with gun control, but how can you lecture the rest of America about gun laws when you're using real guns and real ammos? And there's been more now, because apparently the crew took this gun out to a firing range to have a bit of fun. This is your Hollywood, everyone. This is your entertainment industry. What Christopher Eccleston went through is no different to that situation. But luckily, nobody was killed or disabled on the Doctor Who set by some happy accident. What's going on here is the inmates have taken over the asylum. And when I talk about a governing body, governing the entertainment industry, people within the entertainment industry bite me. You don't know what you're talking about, mate. What do you know? You're a failure. You went to Hollywood. You didn't succeed. You went there for 6 months. You're bitter. I'm not bitter. I simply didn't get the opportunity to succeed in Hollywood, and I didn't. And that's down to me, and I'm very comfortable about that. I'm developing the first English-speaking dramas here on Cypriot TV. Might not be Hollywood, but I'm happy. I won the Cypriot Iron Napa reality show, Iron Napa Raw, back in 2012, 2013, whenever it was. I'm 49 years old and I'm very happy with my life. I don't talk about the problems in the entertainment industry because I'm bitter. I love it. I love my movies, my TV shows. I love Doctor Who, as you all know. But I think when you hate your own customer, and you hate the people who work for you and you abuse them, and you stand there talking about compassion and kindness, and then you talk about toxic masculinity. Is it us that are the toxic ones, or is it you? Because no matter how these people in the entertainment industry, the Western English-speaking entertainment industry identify as, they're all as bad as each other. There's a couple of nice ones who have probably already been driven out of the industry. I know a few of them. But this is a very, very bad industry, and the Christopher Eccleston situation, of course, proves that. So let's finish off with something a bit positive. Why do I love Doctor Who? What is it about the Doctor that I love? Well, it is the Doctor I love. I like some companions, but that's not why I watch Doctor Who. The Doctor's name is on the door. I love the Doctor. I love the character in general. Not necessarily, I don't want to talk about a version of the Doctor, but as a character, this character is amazing. The smartest person in the room, full of personality, brash, funny, can change on a sixpence and become serious when he or she's becoming jovial. The intellect, the knowledge, it's all there. And this is a person who's been alive for so long, that's seen so much. The Doctor is that elderly person I used to sit next to in the laundrette who used to tell me all about her adventures in World War II, when basically her husband was fighting in the war and she was getting it on with the American GIs. That's what the Doctor is. The Doctor can be immoral like that, but can also be viewed as a hero. And that's why I love the Doctor. The Doctor's also an epic character with an epic spaceship, the TARDIS. A time machine spaceship that looks like a 1960s phone box. That is one of the things I've always loved about Doctor Who. Because when you look at that phone box, it looks irrelevant. But then it's a bit like those box of delights. You open it up and it takes you to a new world. And that, everyone, is what I love about Doctor Who. Please comment down below and let me know what you love about Doctor Who. Please comment down below. Please like, share and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I will be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.